Costs of health care over time, placing a large number of seniors or future seniors. That means one of my brothers and one of my sisters. It means certainly my children and grandchildren. It means a lot of people. They're going to be placed at great risk for lack of adequate health care. But instead of addressing the real problem, and that means the actual runaway inflationary costs of health care, which, by the way, are higher than any other developed economy in the world. And that includes countries like Germany that actually utilize private insurance companies to cover their citizens. All right? It's important to have the facts here. All right? You prefer to, in fact, divide the needs of our elderly. Divide, say, put people over 55 in one category and those under 55 in another category. Contributing, I think, to a great deal of divisiveness instead of contributing to what I would like to see as a common good. All right, so my question is, why not address the fundamental problem here, which is the cost of health care and its ridiculous increase over time, and the ridiculous profits that are being made by private entities that benefit from all of us sitting here today, regardless of your income levels. All right? By the way, I pay my own health insurance premiums, and I pay $310 a month. All right? I'm not uninsured. I'm taking responsibility. I'm a very responsible person. And I'm also a former college professor. That probably makes me persona non grata for some of you. Look, I care. I care about each and every one of you sitting here today. You included, ma'am. All right? And you too. And I care about my family. And that's why I'm concerned.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I think that certainly one reason for having the bifurcated in the ages is to give people who are affected by a new policy a window for which they can plan for their future. And so I think that's certainly important. You mentioned it's sustainable. It's to make it sustainable for future generations. As we're on the road now, if we don't make changes, it won't be there for them at all.
How do you make it sustainable by taking it away from them?
Then I think the issue is about, and again, it's income adjusted. What it in effect says is that, why should wealthier people get the same benefit as people that are not? And so why not have it income adjusted to where wealthier people get much less of a benefit than lower income people and those with chronic health care needs? I mean, I think that they can certainly afford to foot a greater part of their health care. And so I think that's important. Then you've asked also about the cost. And let me tell you, first of all, I agree with you that we pay far more than we ought to in terms of our health care costs. And when I talked about the regulatory fragmentation that exists, where we don't have a national market. I mean, you'll watch TV, and they got those ads on, those insurance ads for auto insurance that drive me nuts. And they're on all the time, and you can purchase, there's a policy that you can purchase anywhere in the country. And so why not have a national market in health insurance so we have more competition? And also to allow choice. What I fear about that is happening now in the plan, as we go down with the new health care plan, it says the federal government will really define what a health care plan looks like. When I got out of the Marine Corps the first time and came back home and started a business, I bought a catastrophic policy that had a very high deductible, but it was low cost, and so I just paid for my routine visits. But if anything seriously happened to me, then the policy would kick in. And I think we need choices like that. They're going to be taken away. we need more competition. We regulate insurance entities. We can make those decisions. But I think that the regulatory environment today does not encourage competition. And again, I think we need to, I think maybe we need a national framework in terms of the regulatory environment to say, it's just like banking. I think banks can be chartered at the state level, and can be chartered at the national level. And so, but where we can purchase insurance anywhere in the country that meets our needs. And again, that we have basic standards, and I think that the President's talked about in terms of pre-existing conditions and portability and those things. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Next one.
Henry Barlow from Highlands Ranch.
Thank you. I trust everyone can hear me. I want to thank you, Mike, for having this event and the opportunity to come and share some ideas. From my point of view, it's important for our democracy that we talk to each other and that we look very carefully at where we are. One of the things that I'm concerned about is Social Security. Another thing I'm concerned about is health care. We've had a lot of discussion about health care costs. I would like to suggest, for those who are inclined to read, that perhaps you look at the work of people like Robert H. Frank, Cornell University. Mr. Frank authored a book with Ben Bernanke a few years ago, not about health care, but I mention him to signify that he is a substantial person in the field. Look also at the work of Uwe Reinhardt, Princeton University. Look at the work of Joseph Stiglitz, Paul Krugman, Nobel Prize-winning economist. What do these people tell us? They tell us, among other things, that there is a better way for dealing with our healthcare situation. If, for example, we look at some of the decisions that have been made in this country recently, all of us are familiar with the prescription drug legislation. Well, guess what we got? We got a piece of legislation that cost one heck of a lot of money. Now, if you look at me, you see I'm an old guy. I'm concerned about the future of my grandchildren and my children. I don't want them to go down the drain. And I don't want us to have to pay more than we need to for health care. The issue of Social Security could be solved very quickly by having the historic norm of wages subject to the payroll tax. The long-term deficit, that could be washed out. Social Security does not contribute to the federal debt now. So, back to some of the specifics about the health care legislation and the prescription drug legislation. How many billions of dollars are we overpaying for drugs? Because the Medicare cannot negotiate with the drug companies. The VA can negotiate. If you're a veteran and you can receive VA benefits, why should you be in a better position than old guys like me? We're all veterans of life. Now, to look at the other side of the coin of controlling costs, we might learn something from our neighbors to the north in Canada. The Canadians have a good health care system in the sense that, yes, guess what? Average life expectancy in Canada is greater than the U.S. So, if you want to see some facts, pay attention to it. So, we need to control the cost of health care. And how do we do that? Insurance companies may be our friend, but I'm sure they're out for their interests, and I would like to